The Rock of Gibraltar has a cultural heritage as diverse as its small but cosmopolitan population, and which draws on influences from both Europe, North Africa, and even further afield. Steeped in history yet in tune with the modern world, Gibraltar is justly proud of its cultural scene. Today we join poet and singer-songwriter Gabriel Moreno and dancer Iain Payne. This is Access All Areas.
Performing is just the satisfaction of doing something that you love doing, just being able to express yourself, express the ideas of other people, and be able to put in front of an audience and see and getting the feedback of them also gives you a really nice satisfaction of something, people enjoying what you do.
At a personal level, I feel sometimes that when I don't connect with myself in the day-to-day, or I'm nervous, or I'm not really in tune with my emotions, performance usually connects me with my deeper self, and I feel a bit more in touch with the things that are bothering me, or the things that make me joyful, or the people that I love. Sometimes I have the sensation that after a performance I am really open emotionally and free to connect with everyone. And also obviously during the stage time, I feel that I am perhaps a better version of myself, so I'm always running after that better version and trying to do more gigs and more performances. In a way, it feels like running after the best you. The first interest in poetry, I suppose, was more through the lyrics of songs, the bands that I adored at that time, bands like Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and Nirvana. I thought that the lyrics were very poetical and they reflected a feeling of a generation. And through them, I started to read more poetry, and I started to feel very in tune with the expression through words. After that, obviously, studying Spanish literature and English literature in Hull, in Chile and in Barcelona, I started to write more and read more in poetry without the music element.
You owe me nothing.
I remember one of the most specific moments was when I went to the Atacama Desert in Chile. I was trying to describe to myself what I was seeing, but I couldn't find the right words. And then I came across a book by Pablo Neruda called Residencia en la Tierra, and that imagery really struck me, and I found a way of expressing reality which was more profound than what I myself could write. So from there I started trying to write poetry and trying to copy a bit this expressive element that I found with Neruda, which was actually a Chilean poet too. But his book wasn't based in Chile, it was based in a tropical island in the Caribbean. And through his work, I started envisaging my own publishings, and I started writing a lot.
Gibraltarian poet and singer-songwriter Gabriel Moreno started his own solo project in 2010 after having formed part of various bands in Gibraltar, Italy, Peru and Spain. He is currently based in the UK and is an important part of the alternative folk scene in London, performing and hosting many acclaimed music and poetry nights in venues such as the Betsy Trotwood, Jonestown or the Cabaret at Caramel. Gabriel has 8 collections of poetry published in Spanish and English, and released his debut album Love and Decadence in 2015 through Amber Records.
My first project was with The Arrival, with Pita Montegrifo and Adrian Pizarello. I was the bass player, and with them they encouraged me to take music a bit more seriously. And the first arrangements were mostly bass lines and songs that I was helping them to play. But my own music I started in university when I was 18 in Hull, There I had a little project called El Mono. I started to write my own songs, play my own songs and sing them as well.
First time I had an interest, I guess when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My sister was in dance, and my parents were working overtime, so I basically had to go with her. And I started with Paulette Phillinson in the Gibraltar Academy of Dance. So it was the first time, and then that was the first time I had the opportunity to perform on stage, and since then I knew that's something I really enjoyed doing.
At the young age of 4, Iain started to take lessons in dance and never looked back. He furthered his studies at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance in Leeds, and since then has been touring extensively throughout the UK and internationally with various companies such as Earthfall, Carlton Dance Company and Ballet Lorraine, to name a few. He has also worked with renowned choreographers such as Javier de Frutos and Charlotte Vincent, as well as the late Nigel Charnock. He has taught in schools and universities across the United Kingdom and thrives in working in physical theatres where he can express his passions best. Iain relishes physical movement and has strong improvisation and partnering skills.
My beginnings, I started with Paulette Phillinson when I was about 4 or 5 years old, did modern dance, and then I stopped for a while, and then I started back, I guess properly when I was about 11 years old with Nathan Conroy, with his group. It was called Public Demands, and I got back into sort of street dance, so something completely different. So then I guess that was again like a new beginning.
All the names that I knew blur away, dear. How to know I'm the one who remains here? There were many of me's, but now they're gone. I was wise to write what I knew, dear. Sometimes lines make it all clear. There were times I was one with your dreams. You're the fountain, you're the thread of my bone. And I turned all the way, dear. I reversed like a glove with a hand fear. There were times when I knew just your name. You're the fountain, you're the thread of my. You're the fountain, you're the thread of my bones. And I'm yours. You're the thread of my. You're the thread of my bones. Yeah. You're the thread of my bones. You're the thread of my bones. You're the thread of my bones, yeah. You're the thread of my bones, yeah. and I.
Personally, I don't actually have an individual style. I guess more for me is very pedestrianised. I guess what I was doing now was a lot of movement, moving about and stuff, but mine specifically is probably very pedestrianised, very theatrical. So there's a lot of stillness, a lot of not much moving about. I don't know if it's more because of my age, but it's very pedestrianised. Everyday movement. I feel it's not dance. I don't feel it's a technical term. It's movement. So anything justifies as a movement, stillness, walking, talking, turning. So yeah, everyday movement inspires me, and it's just simple. I try not to. I'm not a very technical dancer, so I guess that's why. But it's also what I enjoy most: theatrical stuff.
Metric rhymes and vaccines. Well, I just have your eyelids.
My influences in poetry are Lorca, William Carlos Williams from Northern America, Dan Patterson from Britain. In music, obviously, Nirvana, Fabrizio D'Andrea, Leonard Cohen, Nick Cave, Bill Callahan. And in literature in general, I read a lot of Villamatas, a modernist novelist from Spain. And these are the people that encouraged me and inspired me to have my own form of expression through my songs and through my poems. I started publishing in Barcelona in 2005 with a publishing house called Omicron. They were interested in writers who had an English kind of ancestry or an English angle to their writing. And I started with a book called Londres y el susurro de las amapolas, which was actually in Spanish, but it talked about English writers in London. After that, I published 5 books with Omicron. And then I started my solo project in music, which I recorded some demos, but my first album with Amber Records was in 2015. It's called Love and Decadence. And I suppose it incorporates some of the poetry I'd been writing before. In English, I have 2 books. The first one was The Hollow Tortoise in 2012, and The Moon and the Sparrow in 2015 as well. The olives in the tree shine like shoes of patent leather. Too radiant is this mountain for a man to meet his end. Descending from the moon are its cries of melted silver. The civil guard are not immune, but they are ready for the kill. Where are the gypsies, Lorca? Mocks the captain of the men. Are they coming to this fiesta, or are they hiding in their caves? Did the fear unhinge their knives? I cannot hear their saddle bells. Did they discharge their horses, or are they dancing in their tents? But all the stars responded, quivering fiercely in the night. You can touch a poet's body, but you will never ruin his mind. Oh, the smell of blood and wax. Oh, the anger of the fig trees. No bullet from a fascist thug will deter our birds from singing. Dark, dark is the heart of Spain. Black reeds grow upon its chest. All the angels have departed for the pain of Lorca's death. Heated youth rip off their shirts. Virgin girls insult their mothers. Whimpers for a foreign Christ. Rage, rage, rage for the death of the sun of Granada. The Ballad of the Death of Federico Garcia Lorca is a ballad with the meter of Spanish gypsy ballads, written in English in dedication, commemoration, or perhaps in reference to the death of one of my favorite poets of the 20th century, Federico Garcia Lorca. It talks about the relationship between the killers, between the poet himself and his surroundings in the day when he was shot outside in the mountains of Granada. And it's also talking about the relationship between poetry and society.
So yeah, I had this opportunity last year being contemporary dancer, but I guess I don't feel like contemporary dancer, more like a movement artist and performer. I had the opportunity to be part of The Mummy, the remake of The Mummy 2017 with Tom Cruise. I was just a few scenes being a mummy chasing. But yeah, just a few friends had done a couple of films, and then the opportunity arose, needed movement artists, performers to be involved in this. Just to chase and move around, come out of a coffin. So yeah, it'd be really exciting, and hopefully I can recognize, well, can't really recognize myself because I'm all like makeup, but yeah, I wouldn't know who I am.
And now we introduce our first international act, but no stranger to Gibraltar, as we present Iain Payne, someone local, some of you might know, who in fact I used to be breakdancing with me when he was 10. He went to Northern School of Contemporary Dance, and since then he's been working in the United Kingdom with several dance companies.
I'm actually more a performer than a dancer, but I've started, like, choreography is it's not what I do. But saying that, the Art Dance Festival 2017 in Gibraltar occurred, and again I was invited as one of the professional dancers, especially coming from Gibraltar, coming back to perform. So I created a choreography with a friend of mine, Jessica Lee Hayner, who we danced together in two dance companies, one called afield, and now the Run Rider Productions in the UK. And so we just created this piece, especially for the Art Dance Festival. First public performance, again, I was trying to remember this the other day, was with, again, with Gibraltar Academy of Dance. And I think that was either Macintosh Hall or Inces Hall. And it was sort of like they had the ballet commitment, it was like the Charleston-y thing, and I was just the little boy there, the only boy dancing. And then another bigger production was like a Peter Pan thing, and I think it was one of the little, like John or something. Yeah, well, boys dancing when I was younger, yeah, it wasn't a thing. Like, I was, especially because when I started, I guess you had breakdance groups and so that was completely different, but like when I was modern dance, I was the only boy. People sort of saw you, oh, you're a boy dancing. Then when I started to develop into the street dance, then it was more like a cool thing, because I used to sort of mix like acrobatic gymnastics, and we were all like, and there's a group of friends like Liam Kenny and stuff, and we were just like really like enjoying, I was just having fun and just doing flips and stuff, and it was fun. I mean, obviously people saw you like, oh, that's cool, sort of thing, so it was a bit different. It has developed so much, and even in Gibraltar, like obviously a bit older now, I come back, there's loads of dancers who are trained and are like performing that I've seen, which is amazing. It's a shame I don't know them, but it's like, it's really good because there's more stuff happening, and yeah, I keep seeing all the time, which is a really good thing.
We write a lot about our mothers, but our fathers sometimes are left there without any songs, so I wrote a song for my father.
I usually write in the morning. and I write about things that are not particularly epic things that have happened in my life, but more about the details of my everyday existence, and I try to relate that to the books that I've read and the stories that I've been told and the traveling that I've done. And I try to combine those things to make something domestic, but also something a bit mythological and hopeful. But most of my writing comes from my experiences of what's happened to me as a person, as a lover, as a friend, as a human being.
Oh, Father, I'm counting my marbles. I hope you can see me, or hear in your blood.
Myself and a fellow Gibraltarian, Gabriel Moreno, poet and singer-songwriter, we combined together to create a piece called The Old Howl of the Old Ballad. And we created a piece specific for this Solar Six Dance Festival 2017.
This song was born to versify your absence, singing every man that never was has a tune to free. Singing the sparrow in the void was once another sparrow. Singing I embellished the visible you with the invisible you.
The Howl of the Old Giacomo Leopardi is a poem about rejection. As artists, we've all gone through periods where no one wanted to listen or experience what you create. And this poem talks about this moment in time when you feel totally marginalized in society, unheard and unwanted. And it refers to a man called Giacomo Leopardi, who was a very important poet, but who was rejected for many years. As an artist, as a person, as a son, as a lover, he was one of these kind of hunchback creatures who are not accepted in society. And that's why I dedicated the poem to him. One more rejection and I will jump in the water. One more rejection and I will never come back. One more rejection and they will find pieces of my body in every river from here to Geneva. Have you ever seen a man turned into cracked seashells and broken china? Have you ever witnessed the disintegration of a body of illusions? How a single shot of ammunition can help to bring the whole castle down? And no internal valve will help. No tepid spring of past devotion, no letter from the music of the spheres. No, the flop is complete. The total sum of your loss comes galloping down the mountain like a titanic sledge of panic-stricken owls and livid greyhounds. You are left naked in the presence of regret as the whole of Mount Vesuvius cashes straight into your face and the lights go out. And even the young Virgil is shit scared, because we're all slave ships in an ocean of solitude and acceptance. Because a mere grimace can push a man into his darkest screech. Because the blood evaporates and all that is left is the shell, the tattered vest of an athletic shout. Have you ever heard such a thing? It can make your limbs ache. Have you ever heard the absence of the wind when the heart of the clouds stopped beating? You, with your Greek chest and your Roman poise, you blessed with the eye sockets of the Persian gods, you, vermilion sun, purple and red, you who parade your curves in the manners of Posillipo, you who wait by the fireplace of your beauty for some green-souled John to disintegrate in your heat and in your flames. You who keep your eyeballs in your pockets as we dissolve in the hovels of your face. One more rejection, and I will grow seaweed to cover my mouth. One more rejection, and may my voice be my witness. I will drown my heart in the taverns of Naples. One more rejection, and I, Giacomo Leopardi, will abandon my name. My dream is to continue this life that I'm leading, and I have been leading for the past 2 years, which is basically being able to subsist through music and poetry. And my dream is to continue and obviously expand it in any way possible, reach as many people as I can. People who obviously want poetry and want this kind of music. I wouldn't want to reach people who are not into this genre because I feel it's a bit of a waste of time, but reaching more people who resonate with this kind of music and this kind of poetry. and to stay the same, to be able to pay my bills and never have to work in an office in something that I particularly wouldn't like.
My ambition has always been to work as many talented and people and just to try new ideas and new things, and I've had the opportunities to work with so many people and that keeps developing. Problem is now the people are a bit younger, so which is great because they've got new ideas and you just keep improving and keep learning new things, I guess. But yeah, dreams and ambitions, it's just that, just keep doing what I'm doing, hopefully for a little bit longer.
In the past 5 years, in my experience, in what I've seen, the local scene has blossomed and flourished in terms of new poets, in terms of poetry nights, in terms of reference to poetry in newspapers, in magazines, in the television, in this program we're doing now. And I feel there's a bigger interest for poetry in Gibraltar and also in the UK and other places I've visited. It seems that in an age of superficiality, of a lack of belief in the political system, in a lack of belief in the mainstream media and mainstream musical industry, people have turned to the underground, and poetry is usually in the underground, to have a bit of a resurgence of the more, perhaps, the more visceral and the more profound ways of looking at art rather than business. And I think Gibraltar is reacting incredibly well. The nights that Rebecca Falla is putting on in Sacarello and in other venues.
The Gibraltarians have got this drive of something they really enjoy and they push. So, and in dance, it's not just about, it's not like technique and stuff, it's about expressing movement and the passion about something you do. And we definitely have, we're not lacking that.